So, Joy, have you ever been to a Turkish prison? Do you like gladiator movies? By the way, is there anyone listening who knows how to fly a plane? Well, looks like I picked the wrong day to give up Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond. That and sniffing glue. Not that there's a difference.
Want to learn from those that are taking their lives, their businesses, and their passions to the next level? Best-selling author of Master the Art of Connecting and professional speaker Lou Diamond is here to connect you to some of the most inspiring and amazing people on the planet. Get ready to thrive loud with Lou Diamond.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond, connecting you to the most inspiring and amazing people that are thriving each and every day. I'm your host, Lou Diamond. Today on Thrive Loud, we have the Vice President for Safety and Airworthiness at American Airlines. She is responsible for the air and ground safety, quality assurance, quality control, and Airworthiness Records programs. She also helps to ensure the safety around the FedEx Express fleet and air operations worldwide. She's also involved in the strategic planning, operations, and efficiency for the airline and is on many boards around women in leadership and business in both inside and outside the airline space. Thrive Loud listeners, I bring you Bobbi Wells. Bobbi, how are you today?
Hi, Lou. I'm great. How are you?
I'm so excited. We were connected here by the amazing Stacey Hunke, who you have done business with and your group and whatnot. And Stacey has been a guest on the program, and she and I hail at different stages across the globe. So it's always fun to connect with people like that. So we're giving her a shout out because she's so much fun.
Yeah, she's fabulous.
So I'm kind of want to do a little rewind here, Bobbi, because you have an interesting career. I don't want to go all the way back to the womb, but I want to know kind of how this specifically became your gig and your expertise. Has flight and this industry always been a passion of yours?
Great questions. And for clarification, I'm no longer responsible for anything at FedEx and or the airworthiness piece of it. It's all focused here at American Airlines. I actually started with the Army, and so it was an area where I got into transportation, found sort of my leadership legs, and became super passionate about how you can impact people's lives through leadership. I moved from the Army after 10 years to working at FedEx, and I worked in various organizations at FedEx, starting out in the ground part of the pickup and delivery part of the business, which I loved in New York City. I'm from a tiny town in Wyoming, so New York City was a huge change for me and one that I found really invigorating and exciting. I moved throughout the organization, leading engineering teams and staff teams, and then eventually this is when I moved into the aviation part of the business. It wasn't a passion that I grew up with, although I've always loved airplanes and always loved to travel. I became a senior manager in the dispatch organization. So what your listeners may not know is that every flight before it goes has a dispatcher who plans it to make sure that it can operate safely from origin to destination. And they serve as a partner to the crew who is on board the aircraft. So I did that for a number of years and then shifted over to the safety role at FedEx. I was at FedEx for a long time, loved FedEx and still love FedEx. And then had this wonderful opportunity at American to serve in the safety role here.
So spectacular. And thank you for bringing that up to speed. And I should have just used the past tense when describing FedEx. But with that, let's talk about this space that you're in, because we've had a lot of challenges. Every airline has been facing it, obviously. So what I would love to hear, and our listeners would love to know, like, obviously you guys had a pretty busy plate when COVID came around. How was that work experience for you, communication wise, organization wise, and then executing what was really something unprecedented in the history of air flight travel, and what that was like for you specifically?
Yeah, thank you. I was at FedEx at the time when COVID first hit. And so our response and every airline's response was to protect our employees first and protect the people who were on board our aircraft, ensuring that we took care of them with their safety and protection without a lot of details. And we all remember what it was like at the beginning, where no one knew what we needed to be afraid of or what protocols needed to be put in place. So fortunately, we had a process by which we did as much as we possibly could, given what resources were available, even to the extent of procuring our own disinfection supplies from a local manufacturer who was pivoting their business during COVID in order to provide those disinfectants. So that was the primary focus. The the other part of it was really around ensuring that our frontline team members and our frontline leaders had clarity about their mission and where we wanted them to be organized or oriented. We all remember how confusing it was and how muddled everything was. I saw our roles as leaders to provide clarity to our team members, to ensure that they understood that we're going to continue doing what we did every day, that they should feel a level of confidence that they could work and they could be safe as long as they followed the guidance that we gave them. So it was a challenging time for sure, but challenges are an opportunity to rise to the occasion. And certainly we saw that on the ground side. On the passenger side, the passenger carriers really had to deal with this huge impact on their business. And the focus here at American was to do this very same thing, to take care of the frontline team members first, and then to ensure as part of that process that all of the people who granted us the opportunity to carry them safely from origin to destination had the very best protocols and protections in place so that they would continue to come back and feel confident about what we were doing on their behalf.
Bobbi, the airline industry is a very large industry, but probably a very small world. Did you work with the other airlines, the major carriers, in trying to figure out processes, best practices, ways that you can deploy from each other? Because I know, this wasn't just an American issue. This was everywhere across every airport, every terminal in the entire world.
Absolutely. In fact, believe it or not, we were having weekly calls at my level across the industry in a safety council that Airlines for America leads. Those touch points gave us each an opportunity to weigh in on what we were finding out, what we were deploying, what equipment we had purchased or was in the pipeline, so that we could share those best practices. In aviation, we're the safest transportation industry in the world. And the wonderful thing about aviation is safety is not a space where we compete. We share openly and transparently on opportunities or initiatives or techniques for risk management, which allows us across the industry to continue to raise the water level of safety so that people can feel confident when they fly.
This was something that happened before you arrived at American, but obviously Boeing had a little bit of a troubled plane not too long ago. I'm just curious about this, and it's more along the lines of all of that type of communication. And I'm not sure if any of that was in American's fleet or any of the fleets you were dealing with the 727 MAX. I'm forgetting the name of the actual man. What was that like across the industry in this space? Because learning where the issues were, obviously there was computer system problems and all of that. How do you deal with something when some of that stuff actually ends up being out of your hands, and you have to try and figure out rectification and also how to make things safe?
Yeah, it was a 737 MAX, and what happens within aviation is that one effect in aviation has a ripple impact across everyone in aviation. So even at FedEx, FedEx doesn't have any 737s, but it still had an impact on the processes and structures and things we put in place. And the very best way for our industry to respond is something that we've learned over decades of work in this area, is to understand all the elements of what causes an exception that leads to an incident or accident, so that we don't make those same errors or mistakes. We have an opportunity to refine and improve our systems for the future. And that's really what the public was seeing, or what the public could see was going on behind the scenes with the FAA and Boeing. And I'm not speaking on behalf of either of them, obviously. But the point is that they both were charged with and had a responsibility to ensure that they understood the elements of the problem, so that they could engineer those problems out of the equipment, out of the systems, and deliver back a product that would have, again, that assurance of risk management. So we all learn across the industry from these issues as they crop up, and we ask really hard questions about what we don't know, so that we're continuing to push into a space where we're improving and we're looking for opportunities, seen as more of warning signals in our system, rather than waiting until there's an incident or accident, because frankly, none of us are tolerant of or want to wait until that happens. That's not what we do.
So I would love to know this, Bobbi, because you've had a great career. You are a leader and a great communicator. and you are, what I love to say, thriving on most days. But we all have days when we're not quite kicking on all cylinders and we're a little off our game, a little tired, a little off our beat. Maybe everything isn't just flowing the way we'd like to. Maybe there's a lot of bureaucratic stuff you're dealing with that makes it hard. When you, Bobbi Wells, are having trouble thriving, what practice do you seek, or maybe which individual do you seek out to get yourself back on the thriving track?
The practice that I go to the most is around mindfulness. I believe a great deal in mindfulness. I see the value in it. I've been practicing it for a number of years, and I can tell how it manifests in my life in order to manage the emotions that I'm experiencing, especially when they're negative emotions. And there's a few steps to using mindfulness. Certainly you can do meditation, you can have a meditation practice, but mindfulness is something that you can deploy when you're standing at your desk or when you're in a meeting, whatever it might be. The first step is to recognize what you're feeling, to recognize the emotion and name it. And once you name an emotion, it moves from the back of your brain, where it's the ancient part of our brain, and it shifts the focus to the front part of your brain. That's really important because the back part of our brain is very, very powerful, and it has an overriding capability to cut off the front part of your brain or the executive function because it is so strong. So once you name that emotion and you accept it, then you're thinking about it in a different way using that front part of your brain. The next step really is just to take a deep breath. And so the deep breath isn't about getting to the other side of the breath. It's to focus on breathing in and breathing out. And what that does is it helps your brain develop new neural pathways. If you're doing that conscious breathing on a regular basis, you develop new neural pathways that you can use when you're dealing with strong emotions so that you can respond and be your best self, even when you're not feeling your best self.
Love it. I love it. And by the way, I practice a lot of exactly what you just said. And we also do some of that with some fear coaching that we do with some companies and helping them move through fear into courage. So Bobbi Wells on board with this. So I wanted to ask this question before we get to some of the admin part of the show and then Fun Street. And that is, what do you love about what you do every day?
What I love about what I do every day is we have the most extraordinary culture here. It's so powerful in that the focus from the very top of the organization is on our frontline team members. We know that not only do they represent American to our customers, but they're the ones who get the job done every day. They're the ones who make things happen. We rely on their expertise, their training, their decision-making, because it is a big organization. We do have a lot of things going on, and you can't manage that from a headquarters. So for our frontline team members to feel valued, to feel included, to feel wanted here is just so foundational to what we do at American. I find it absolutely inspirational, and certainly it affects people's attitudes when they show up every day.
Awesome. Let's do the admin part of the show. Bobbi Wells, tell everybody where they can learn about some of, I guess, the things at American that you're most involved with. We'll put it all in the show notes, websites. They always know they can go to the website, but maybe something specific they should be looking out for, or wherever they could find more of you.
Yeah, so I would recommend if they're interested in a career at American Airlines, we hope you would consider us. We'd love to have you come on board. You can go to aa.com and see which careers are open. We're posting and we're growing, and we'd love to have you join us. It's a wonderful opportunity to apply today and fly tomorrow. And that's a super exciting world to live in when you're passionate about travel and about connecting. For me, I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. I believe in connecting and reaching out and helping people. My job as a leader is to make a difference in people's lives. And I'm happy to support people in whatever way I can. I believe really strongly in the value of gender balance and diversity in aviation. And I participate in a couple of different boards that are focused on that. So women, when they think about aviation, it's not a traditional pathway that most women consider. And I would love for them to think about a career in particular here at American Airlines, because they'll find a very welcoming and open environment.
Spectacular. Bobbi Wells, permission to go down Fun Street with me here on Thrive Loud.
Absolutely.
Okay. Can you share with the listeners? I know you've been thinking about it for only about 20 minutes. A favorite movie of yours or one that you love to rewatch?
Well, actually, the movies that I love to rewatch are movies that I find interesting about the world, and so it might be a bit of a surprise given what I've talked about. But I love James Bond movies, and the reason I love them, so the reason I love them is because they always are in really interesting places. He drives amazing cars, and I'm very passionate about unique cars that go fast. And then the gadgets I just find absolutely, I want everything that he has for all of his gadgets, just because it seems like so much fun, especially, again, the cars.
I liked the Skyfall movie when he has M in the car and they go back to the old 1960 whatever Aston Martin, and he was jokingly going to press the eject button. I go, I still one of those every now and then when I'm in my car.
It's a DB5 and it's a fabulous car.
He knows the model and everything. I love it. All right, Bobbi, we're going to do the speed round here at Fun Street, and I know you can handle it. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask you something, and I want the first thing that comes to your mind. These are things that lift you up, that motivate you, that make you feel good, that basically make you thrive. You ready?
I am.
Okay. Of late, a song maybe that you love to listen to, or one that pumps you up?
Most of what I listen to is classical music. And so I love Vivaldi. I love Vivaldi Four Seasons. I can listen to it. It transforms me. And every time I listen to it, I think of each one of the seasons. I can feel it in my bones.
That was legitimately my wife's study music when she was in law school. I do know that. That's like her favorite sound that all the way through. And she probably did the same thing you did through the seasons. A favorite food that is not a dessert?
Actually, probably my favorite food that's not a dessert is popcorn. I love popcorn. And probably it's the idea of eating popcorn while watching a really exciting and fun movie.
A favorite dessert?
Anything chocolate.
Oh, okay. You like a dark chocolate fan or
Oh, yes.
Chocolate? Yeah, big time. All right. I could see that.
Yeah.
An activity you wish you did more of?
I wish I skied more. I grew up downhill snow skiing, and I am actually hoping to ski soon, and I wish I could do that more.
An activity you wish you did less of?
Driving.
You do a lot of driving, a lot of commuting driving? Or just
I don't. And driving in the sense of driving in traffic. I love driving, actually, the activity. I probably won't ever have a self-driving car just because I love actually engaging with the car. I don't enjoy it when there's traffic.
Gotcha. Bobbi Wells, if I were to snap my fingers and you could be anywhere in the world, and we know you love to travel, where would you be?
I would be in Egypt. I'd be in the Valley of the Kings.
Wow. Oh, I like that. I don't think we've ever had that pick anywhere out there. This is awesome. Bobbi Wells at American Airlines. This is why you've been on this program. You're truly thriving. Continued success to you and your career and everything you're doing, everything around that. Make sure that it's safe up in the air. And more importantly, thank you for keeping us grounded here on this program. And thank you for coming on Thrive Loud.
Thanks, Lou. This is a great opportunity and I appreciate it.
And to all our listeners out there, thank you for joining us. And until next time, keep moving onward and upward. And remember, be brief, be bright, be gone.
You've been listening to Thrive Loud with your host, Lou Diamond. Check us out on the web at thriveloud.com and follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook at Thrive Loud. And check us out on the Good Pods app at Thrive Loud, where you can follow, listen, and connect directly to Lou and all of the Thrive Loud episodes. Thanks for listening.